Buenas noches, bienvenidos una vez más a FCTV. We're going to have a show in English, but let me introduce everything in Spanish just on the beginning and then we turn over. So, bienvenidos a Austin, a clubdeportes.com. Este es FCTV, les damos la bienvenida. Hoy que es lunes, 22 de agosto de 2022. Hoy es un día especial porque tuvimos la llegada de Rigonio, fue presentado oficialmente. Vamos a tener muchas cosas acerca de esto. Pero hoy vamos a empezar con... no se les olvide seguirnos clubdeportes.com, en @clubdeportes, Twitter, Instagram, todo lo demás, Club Deportes. Ahí nos pueden seguir. Yo soy Jorge Iturralde. Y hoy vamos a tener un programa muy especial porque ayer... Now I'm gonna switch to English. Last night, we had I will say a conversation. I don't want to say a fight. I don't want to say an argument. We had a conversation on Twitter because of promo we post. I'm going to put the promo, Jerry. Vamos a poner Jerry López en controles. Let's put the promo, Jerry, y the Cascante promo, and then we going to start from there. We're going to have, obviously, the game and everything. We're just going to take a few minutes to talk about this and to talk about the cowardly way to post this video. Viene, Jerry.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't care. I don't care about that people that were talking shit. Were talking shit about us. I don't care about that.
Just a little too casual, isn't it? Brett Stuber and Cascante doesn't take a look over his shoulder. No look over his shoulder. And Stragapane reads it all the way, pressures the ball, picks it right off his foot, and chips the keeper as he goes to ground to make a last-ditch save. Beautiful finish.
It's not on Julio. I don't know the other mistakes that you're talking about for Julio, but Julio's also been one of our most consistent performers this year. So.
In the final third, when you're defending, that you cannot do in games like this. Julio Cascante takes a swing at it. He's there for the positioning and just goes through his legs, just misses it. And Brad Stuber, nothing he can really do about this.
Take a look right here. Was it Cascante? Yes. Carrasquilla too strong for Cascante and decides to keep the ball down and low. Powerful shot. And Stewart never had an idea where the ball came from.
Velasco's run continues. Returns the ball to Ferreira. This is really good combination play. Across to Ariola. And it's a great team goal. And it's a lead for FC Dallas late in the first half. Paul Ariola does it to Austin FC again. That's a good ball from Velasco, who arrived in the midfield to accept the ball at the right time. And this combination right here, Mark. Ferreira, Ariola. It's really sloppy defensive work from Austin, and they're punished. This team doesn't take a look over his shoulder, and Eurowood out-muscles him. And when he gets that half space, credit to him, he's leaning back away. He wants to try and use Cascante as a screen. He does so well and gets a venomous shot into that far post and in the back.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't care. I don't care about that people that were talking shit. That were talking shit about us. I don't care about that. I think.
Okay. So that was the thing. That was the video that I post, and then can you put the tweet, Jerry? Puedes poner el tweet, Jerry. This is Brad's tweet. Hey, there is a silence here. Okay, perfecto, Jerry. Ponme en la cámara 2. Okay, now I'm very happy. Brad.
Yes, sir.
I thank you. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation and our special guest. I told you, this was a special night. We have Katie Goodman. Katie, welcome.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be interesting.
Thank you, exactly, because
you hadn't seen the tweet until just now.
What a show to come on to. I mean, wow.
She just got aware of what we're going to have. I asked her, can you be the ref in case we need to do something? You're going to be in the middle. You're going to...
Stiff arm you both
Jorge didn't tell me I need to bring the boxing gloves. So
well, we can speed each other or something. we can do something. But anyways...
throw some water
Thank you
bottles.
very much, Katie.
Yeah.
for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. So we're going to start from there. Let's start with the tweet. Sure. I tweet that, and then you reply. And that hit up the Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, it was. It went on for what, 2 or 3 hours last night? Going back.
Wow. Yeah, I think so. And people got involved. And I want to talk a little bit about that just in a little while. Sure. But go ahead.
Yeah,
What were your thoughts when you saw the video?
Sure. So my perspective on the video, and the reason I said it was cowardly, and I don't want to make it like you are a coward. It's an act. When you say cowardly, it's a cowardly act.
But that means I'm a coward, right? Because
not necessarily.
I'm the one who posted.
Potentially. I guess if you want to take it like that, sure. If you want to take it like that, sure. But the reason I said that and the way I said it was, and you and I spoke about this pre-show, I come from a media background from the age of 15 to 39 now. And I'm not nearly as active as I was in media, but that's my degrees. That's what I learned. That's what I know. For me, what set it off wasn't even the usage of Coach Wolf and then the errors of Cascante. It was the music in the background, because the music made Cascante look more clownish than I think probably is fair. And that was a bit over the bounds for a reporter. And if you're going to be a reporter, you have to be a little more balanced than that. And I go back to the error Saturday night. It's the first error that was shown, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Yes, he made the error that gave up the game-winning goal. It's also fair to say he was the best player on the pitch for the first 60 minutes for Austin FC. Because I think if you go back and watch the first 60 minutes, he was the best player on the pitch for Austin FC. So there's the balancing act that I think is there. And when you don't tag the man, or you don't give him a chance to respond to what you're saying on this,
he's not going to respond ever.
Yeah, he may not.
If he would respond and say, you know what, you are an asshole, you are, whatever. I take the tweet, I take the video, I take that, because that's him getting offended, and he's there. But actually, yeah, go ahead.
For sure, but giving him the opportunity is the key, right? It's giving him the opportunity to respond. If he chooses not to, then that's fine. If the coach chooses not to respond, that's fine.
But they're public figures. I don't think they will respond to any of the criticism. Now, let me ask Katie. She's on the middle. Mm-hmm. She's probably she's just aware of that. So what do you think about the spot? It was just a tease.
As a former player, I think I would not want to have been tagged, and I would not want to have seen that, because that's like your worst nightmare, is having all of your mess ups put to that music and just broadcasted, right? And I think that by Austin FC, you said like actual media people were beginning to get involved. That just, adds it to the algorithm. It's just like populating it even more. For me, I'd rather just, this is the thing about these players, is they know exactly what they've done wrong. Every single game, they go to bed thinking about it. It haunts them in their dreams. Like, this is not something that they take lightly. Now, I understand you have to bring an entertainment value to what you do, right? Your job is to criticize and to dissect and to bring light to maybe some of the weaknesses that you're seeing with some of these teams. So, I can also understand your perspective here as well.
The principal purpose of this, can you put the tweet I had, Jerry, after I tweet the full interview, after the game interview with, or conference actually. I will say interview because we were just two guys there. Mm-hmm. These guys, I'm gonna say what Carlos Rodrigo, te invitaría a cenar, pero no. Van a pensar mal la gente. Anyways, this Carlos Rodrigo said, I said, I will invite him to have a dinner, but actually now. He's not my type. No, just kidding. Okay, so this is the thing he writes. He didn't say nothing. It's really alarming not to realize what mistakes you were talking about. That says, number one, he's insulting.
Tell me.
Because he didn't want to answer, or he doesn't check the errors of the team when that happened. So that's the tweet, and I actually reply and say, you know what, I'm doing a video of that. So wait, but this guy got the point of we're not talking about Cascante. I know Cascante is there. I know Cascante is the one with the mistakes, but Cascante's abilities or quality, that's what we have. I mean, he didn't do that on purpose. So if he is doing that stuff on an official game, that's something that he can't, how can I say, he can't avoid.
So don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Criticism of the player and his performance on the field is totally fair game. I've never said it wasn't.
So you think it's the music?
I think it's the music.
Okay,
I think it's all about the music.
Okay, Jerry, go for it. I want to show you something.
Just a little too casual, isn't it? Brad Stuber and Cascante doesn't take a look over his shoulder. No look over his shoulder. And Fragapane reads it all the way, pressures the ball, picks it right off his foot, and chips the keeper as he goes to ground to make a last-ditch save. Beautiful finish.
It's not on Julio. I don't know the other mistakes that you're talking about for Julio, but Julio's also been one of our most consistent performers this year. So.
In the final third, when you're defending, that you cannot do in games like this. Julio Cascante takes a swing at it. He's there for the positioning. It just goes through his legs, just misses it. And Brad Stuber, nothing he could really do about this.
Take a look right here. Was it Cascante? Yes. I don't see it too strong for Cascante, and decides to keep the ball down and low. Powerful shot. And Stewart never had an idea where the ball came from.
Velasco's run continues. Returns the ball to Ferreira. This is a really good combination play. Across to Ariola. That's a great team goal. And it's a lead for FC Dallas. Late in the first half. Paul Ariola does it to Austin FC again. That's a good ball from Velasco, who arrived in the midfield to set the ball at the right time. And this combination right here, Mark. Ferreira, Ariola, FC Dallas needs them desperately. Sloppy defensive work from Austin, and they're punished! Team doesn't take a look over his shoulder, and Yearwood out-muscles him. And when he gets that half space, credit to him, he's leaning back away. He wants to try and use Cascante as a screen. He does so well and gets a venomous shot into that.
So we have 4 different tracks. My opinion, before I give you the ball, my opinion is the same. I mean, he's doing the mistakes. I'm watching on the mistakes. I can dance the Mexican dance, but while I'm watching it, but for me it's the same.
So you're forgetting that we have 5 senses, and for you, you're only using 1, which is your eyes. But when you add in the music, it automatically adds in your ears, which then changes the connotation to the brain. That matters. And so the 4 different tracks you used, all 4 of them say something different.
Okay, what he says with the Mexican dance? What do you understand with Mexican?
So the Mexican dance to me, it was like, okay, I'm not sure what you're trying to say, honestly. But honestly, that's music. But so to me, that could be a cultural thing for me, right? And I'm very acutely aware of that. When the previous highlight was like a more of a slow rock highlight, that's something that I've seen, I think, more in traditional sports media over the years. And I think it hits differently. So that's where, if you go back to the original one, it was very much music that was, I feel, used to undermine the player in a negative connotation, in a negative way, right? It's totally fair to call out play. It's totally fair to say he has made mistakes that led to goals this year. I don't think that's out of the question. I think anybody who watches Austin FC on a regular basis would be foolish to say otherwise. I could say that about other guys on the team that we don't talk about enough, to be quite honest with you. It's just that to say it's only music ignores the connotation that goes with musical choices.
Okay, but it makes any difference? I'm going to ask her. If it makes any difference if it's just a tease?
It did feel a little bullyish, a little tease-ish, but
But that's the purpose, no?
I mean,
that's the way ESPN does it.
That is the purpose, I think, of the video. But I do, like I said, all I can do is bring it back to my own player experience and how I would much rather there be a different soundtrack than the comical circus-like soundtrack in the background, because it would just make me feel that much worse about my ability.
That's fine.
Yeah, so, and the final word, just from my perspective, for me it becomes the question of, does he want to be a reporter or do you want to be an entertainer? And those are two different things in this regard. And for somebody who is at the club every day, and you're at the press conference today with Rigoni, right? And asking questions, you asked great questions today. It was a fantastic listen to be at the to listen to the press conference online. But there's a fine line there, you know. And you talk to ESPN, like the first thing that comes to my mind is Stephen A. Smith. That guy's not a reporter anymore. I'm sorry to say, he's an entertainer. He used to be a reporter, and he used to be a damn good reporter, to be quite frank with you. But he's not. And I want our local media, because you are our lifeline to fans, to ask the questions that we want asked. I want our local media, and you're our lifeline to question, honestly, on air, and to bring up points about should this guy be starting or should he not be starting. I just want it to be fair to us as fans and to the players on the field.
But you know, it seems like what I'm trying to understand is if I do if I talk nice, or if I do like in this case music, or if I do something different for you guys to like it, I'm gonna be accepted as a media.
No.
I will say there is a balance between reporting and entertaining. Right now it's completely fused. And if you look at these reporters out there who are just purely reporting, who aren't bringing any fun or entertainment to the table, they kind of get swept into the rest, right? And so you can't really blame someone, especially if it's their personality type and that's the way they infuse their creativity in their reporting, then that's a product you're going to get.
So that's exactly. Have you seen the show before?
Yes, of course.
It's just, I mean, when Katie asked me, you know, what is going to be the topic, just come and have fun.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we ask everybody. And I told you, I tell everybody, you know, you can, I never told you you're going to speak this or you're going to speak that. Even though we had an argument yesterday, I said, you know, I really will be happy to have you here because I want to hear your side, your freely speech. One thing that I didn't like is once we start back and forth on the, I usually don't respond, and when I respond to you, I say, you know, I'm not creating things. I'm just posting because I didn't talk anything on the video. I mean, it was the music, it was Cascante, it was whatever you want to say, but I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word on that. And when everybody you as a fan, because I'm sorry, I saw you before, but I didn't know if you were part of. I just see you there, like I see more people. I'm just a
loud guy to the game, man.
I'm following you now on Twitter. But when you see people like you arguing, I love it. Even when you put cowardly, I love it. I really love it. And I really like, because that's when I touch you on that moment, right? If I had a bunch of people sending me messages and private things, and even somebody got my phone and sent me a message very early in the morning, at 6 o'clock in the morning. What? All that, you know, it happened before.
It's way over the line.
Before. Yeah. It happened. I mean, but that's okay. I mean, I don't see that, and I don't get offended. I mean, it's really, anybody can tell me anything because I'm here. That's why that's why I say things, because I'm gonna take things. You know, at first I didn't go with my family. I mean, we're talking about football, right? Or soccer. So the only thing I didn't like is after we start, you know, like that, some guy from the Austin FC
from the front
institution.
Office. Yeah, for the front office.
Yep. Front office, or somebody who works in Austin FC respond to my tweet. And then all the people from the office, or not all the people, but people from the Austin FC office start liking, retweeting, and things. This is what I didn't like, because this is not what an institution has to do. The fans can say whatever they want to say. I respect all the fans. I will take anything from the fans. I will take anything from people who's and in a very bad or very different perspective, they turn everything from Austin FC to the report or to the to that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I did.
No, and as a former media relations professional, that's over the top to me, and you're in the right in that respect.
So,
But at the same time, like you put all of his problems on display. Like
But
I
this is
think
not the first
as a
time.
front office staff, when it's their entire job to try to maintain a positive image and an optimistic image on the comeback, I feel like you can't blame them. But there is a time and a place and a way to go about having that conversation. Maybe not in a tweet, maybe in a direct message or
So we go back to
email.
the video, the teaser, right? And you asked, well, what would make it better or more acceptable to me, right? And this is just me. I think about it and I go, if you had voiced over it, because you said, well, I didn't create it, I just let them talk. If you had voiced over it and said, this week we're going to talk about, does Julio Cascante, is he still in the 11? Should he still be in the starting 11? And you show an error or two from the game or whatever, that's a fair conversation. That's an absolutely fair.
I'm still thinking that.
And it changes everything, right?
I'm
But
still
that
thinking like
changes
this.
everything.
He's trying to correct.
No. I'm not trying to correct you. I'm giving you merely like you asked me earlier, like, does it need to change in order for me to accept it? No, it's your show. I'm just telling you from my perspective, like, would I have perceived that differently?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would have.
Okay, I got it, and that's why, and I really, as I'm saying, I repeat again, I really appreciate it. We have to do changes for you to be here, but I really appreciate it. And I'm still, when we're here, right, I said, Katie is our biggest, so we realize that. Anyways, so going forward with this, yes, I have talked to about Julio for the last 2-3 weeks before. Mm-hmm. You see, this has nothing to do with Julio. When last year, or actually this year, when I request to have an interview with people, I request 3 people. I say, 4. Say, I want Julio. I want to the front office. I want Drusy, Fagundes, and Maxi. Can you give me those 4 guys? And actually ring. Can you give me those 5 guys, whatever time you want it? They just give me Julio, and I don't think, and I want to say this, in front. I don't think Hispanic media it's important for Austin FC.
Well, it's wildly
at
important.
all. No, at all.
I think maybe not. You think maybe not for the front office, and that's a fair criticism. But I think for the community, it is wildly important.
And that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it, and that's why we keep, trying, because I know some people send me messages saying, "Oh yeah, this is good what you did," but they don't put like. I said, why? Because that's another thing. It feels like there is a line in the supporting groups. I don't want to say just one. I think it seems like there is a line. I have some screenshots of people talking on the Slack. I'm not in the Slack. My daughter is on it's at Los Verdes. Mm-hmm. She's 10, but she's at Los Verdes, and I didn't want to join the Slack because it's like I don't want to be I would say not respecting, but interfering on their stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Me as a media, I don't think it's ethic to be there, even if I have my daughter's name there. So I'm not there, but I have people send me all kinds of stuff, hey, this happened, all this happened, and because I think they see Club Deportes as some media or some source of complain or try to get justice or I don't know, but they send me stuff, right? So I saw some stuff there of people saying, hey, Jorge didn't do good, we're gonna have to talk to him and we are, we need to get this, and no one of those people who usually likes my stuff, no one liked it. No one did a tweet. No one say nothing. Why? I feel because there is a line, or it seems like and it's probably a big word, but it seems like there is a dictatorship in the groups. That if you don't follow the rules, They can kick you. You're not gonna be nice to them, or I don't know.
I'm in the Slack active for the LV, so I'm happy.
So you saw the stuff they say about me.
Yeah, I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it. We have it, right? I think dictatorship's the wrong word. I think there's a group think to a degree in LV. There's a lot of like-minded people in the group, but it's also a supporter group of 2,500 people that maybe 100 are active in Slack on a daily basis. So, and those are our most active members, right? The folks who are leading charities and all kinds of other stuff that they do too that doesn't get as much attention as it probably should. So I think dictatorship's the wrong word because we do vote on leadership. And it's a total democracy in that respect. And we vote on bigger things that go on within the group as well.
Why the people is afraid to like it? Because I saw a bunch of people, and that's sometimes what I think. I think like the people who because that was another thing that I want to mention. After the 2 hours, I mean when I post the video on that was Sunday, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Like an hour or 2 hours later, Chris Bills, saludos Chris, hi Chris, from the striker, he posted, oh, this is what Julio Cascante said, I just got a word from him. And a bunch of people jumped to defend what happened, right? Chris, he's doing this on a daily basis, but it's strange for me that was a day off on Sunday. How he can have a privilege of talk to a person that I was talking about.
I know how he got it. He didn't talk to him on Sunday. He talked to him on Saturday night at the stadium in the locker room.
No, look at Chris Bills.
But the post went up Sunday.
No,
right?
Look at Chris Bills' tweet. He said, "I talked to Julio Cascante about last night's game."
Sure, but that doesn't mean that he didn't speak to him in the locker room. It means he took a notebook. Chris does that every game. He'll go talk to guys after the game, take a notebook, and then not post a notebook till the next day.
I'm gonna
ask Chris about it. Chris about it.
No, I didn't ask. I didn't ask him because
he's also really good at getting his own interviews too.
Yeah,
but that was the thing. I mean,
very aggressive.
When you are doing that, and I know it wasn't on Saturday night, and I tell you why, because he's a very good posting. So if he talks to you today, he goes in the morning. He doesn't go almost 24 hours later.
We also had to travel Saturday at home, right? He had to travel home Saturday.
If you look any excuses, that's fine.
I'm not looking at excuses.
I feel like everything.
Are you implying that he was given an additional interview?
I think, and this is my conspiracy theory, which Chris is doing a very great job with this. And I like.
Chris and I have had our interactions too. It's okay. I like the guy too, but we've had our interactions.
But I think there is something. There is something because this is the second time it happens. When I do something that it doesn't really, the Austin front office doesn't like it. Chris Bills did one before, one like a counterpart, and I don't know if he ended doing it. The Julio Cascante. I haven't seen anything. I
know he had a Cascante quote up yesterday or this morning that I saw from the match that was basically Cascante taking ownership of the play.
Okay.
So, and I know that was post match because he said that.
I don't understand why it was post 2 hours after I put that. But anyways, so like the way you are thinking your conspiracy theories, I think why there is a lot of people attacking me from something that was originated from the front office, right? So, and as I'm saying, it's okay. It's just sometimes I feel like this is a machine that is trying to, like Katie says, is trying to make look good.
Oh, there's
the corporation.
It's an absolute control of the narrative that's trying to happen because it's a brand. It's a brand. I mean, look what I have on. It's branding, right?
Mm-hmm. And but it's not going to hurt. I mean, when you talk about any player, it doesn't have to hurt the brand.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, as a player in that situation, you sign yourself up for criticism from anybody in any way. And that's just the risk you take when you're out there and playing at that level. But on the reverse side, it's easy to sit in the stands and to pick apart somebody and their mishaps and, make fun of it. It's super easy to do that, and I know that because it's been done to me. And I'm like, well, you didn't even didn't see what happened with the play development and how this came down and how I had, tackled this person 3 times out of 4, except the one tackle I didn't make, it went through my legs, and what do you know, it goes into the goal. So, it's so hard because I understand both perspectives. I understand wanting to create a fun narrative, one that gains some traction and gets people talking. But if you also look at it this way, you just triggered a fan base that loves Austin FC, that came to his defense.
He's responsible for that.
You could have said literally anything, not even about his playing ability. You could have probably just talked trash about him for literally any personal reason, and the supporters group would have come to his defense. That's their whole job as supporters.
To a degree. I mean, we have game chats and we have team chats in the supporter group Slack, and we criticize the guys for their play too.
Yes.
We absolutely do.
Yes.
We're loud about it, in fact.
Yes.
I think it's just a matter of the supporters groups are just looking for the fairness of depiction. Fairness of depiction in the way that it's done. That's all. Right. And that's a different conversation.
Right. I just, honestly, between you guys and the striker, you're just offering different products is what I think. And I think when the striker puts something out there trying to play into Austin FC's narrative
and I think it's a good balance. I'm going to ask you, because you're probably not familiar, she's coming from San Antonio. I'm going to ask you, what will be, or how will be Austin or Austin FC without Club Deportes? Honestly, what do you think? How do you think will be? From your heart?
No,
whatever.
I think we'd have a somewhat less engaged Latino-based fan base. And I think that's something that we don't have enough of. There's representation in Latin American media here in Austin around this team. And that's my biggest thing. And that's what I think we'd be missing more of if you weren't here.
Also, a lot of these players, English is not their first language. So how else are they going to have the opportunity to fairly express themselves to a population who fully understands them in a first case basis that isn't being translated by a translator? I think it's really important. I mean, if you think about Drusy, I got some inside information that he just doesn't like to interview, and a lot of it is a language barrier for him. And so he prefers to speak in Spanish. And, look at Corozo. He prefers to speak in Spanish. And so without Spanish TV, how are you going to highlight these players that are doing really good things?
On the other hand, you ask the people from the communications department, can we have, and they don't, I feel like I'm not important for them.
So, Jorge, I think
that's what I feel.
I want you to answer this one for me, because this is what I read in Slack today as a non-Spanish speaker. We have folks who are, and they translated some stuff for me. It sounded like the translator from the team today didn't really do a great job of getting all the information that Rigoni said today. Is that correct?
That's what I heard, and I want to say, honestly, I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
Because everything that I heard in Spanish, it's in Spanish. Everything was in Spanish. And I didn't pay attention on that. I'm gonna watch the video again to see why they say what they say obviously, but I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I don't know if you guys and this is another thing that. But
that's where, and I don't mean to cut you off. That's where you being bilingual is huge for everybody in this community, because you can give a much more accurate translation.
But other teams like LAFC, even Colorado, they have the Hispanic media really involved with the team. They have spaces, they have events, they have everything. Right here, you can see people from the English media very connected to the communications department. We're just nobody for them. So we're trying to do what we can for the people, actually, and we do these parts in English, even though my English, sometimes it's hard to talk the way I talk in Spanish, because in Spanish I can say anything I want. And the point of my line, the line I always, since the beginning, it's have fun with everything, right? Today on the conference, you saw the conference, it was like everybody asking questions. As soon as I got the mic, Rigoni started laughing, Wolf is laughing, you heard laughs around, and it's just questions. I mean, why? And I don't know if you understood what I said on the 77.
Somebody translated in the app about the question and why he's wearing the 77, right? That was my understanding for the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
what was it?
I don't remember, honestly,
Okay,
because I was trying to catch up with everything. Plus, I was driving.
Why you choose? I asked him. Somebody asked him why you choose the 77, right?
Yep.
He said, well, because that was the number. The number 10 wasn't available, whatever. And then when I got the mic, I said, you know what? Did you really choose the 77 for that, or because you play the double as better as Drusy, which is the 7, right? And he started laughing. He said, well, you have to watch me, and you have to. But and then I asked Wolf, you look very happy. He started laughing. He said, yeah, I'm happy. Thank you. I'm happy because it's a really good player for Austin.
Yeah.
Rigoni is gonna be another Drusy. That's what I think. So I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be the same quality, but very close to.
I think he changes the lineup immediately once he's in the 20, because now the question everybody's had is, what do you do? Who goes off? Obvious answer is Redis probably drops out of the 20, especially with Valencia healthy now, because now you actually have that backup central defensive midfielder that we really haven't had all season since Valencia's been injured. With Cardozo here, he's going to take over that other wing spot as a super sub area. So Rigoni changes the lineup completely. I even think he gives you the option to flex Diego into the midfield and to play Cardozo on one wing and Rigoni on the other.
And that's another thing. Can you give us the ¿cuánto llevamos, Jerry? Ay, José pinche madre. Okay, can you give us the lineup? Digo la alineación. So we're talking. Let's turn to the game. This is the initial 11. He's gonna have it for us very soon. Okay, curiosamente they had Cascante right there. So anyways, you see he wasn't looking at the back. Anyways, we have that lineup, that initial 11. That's what he has been using. Probably
last month or so. Yeah.
Well, I think it's the best we have. What do you think? Déjalo ayer.
I mean, I feel like he's going to come in and I feel like probably replace Finley. And I think considering he's played with Drusy in the past, they've played even in World Cups together. I mean, that's just like a whole nother ball game there, a whole nother ability, a whole entirely different creative ability. But here's the thing is Austin FC has become so used to playing off of Drusy and playing to his talents. You add another superstar into the mix, and can they continue that support for both of these superstars?
Do you like Finley?
I like Finley. I think he hasn't stuck out to me nearly as much as obviously a Fagundes or a Rudy or Drusy, but I think he's come in and he's made some changes. He's done some good things. I just, I think he's on the chopping block. And what's interesting about Finley is he's had to work from a bench to a starting position, so he knows exactly what it takes to get there. So he doesn't seem worried that Rigoni is coming into the mix. In fact, I mean, you even see it. Like Josh Wolf has said it himself. I tell the guys to give everything they have because there's going to be subs. That's the key to the comeback. Anytime they're down players, Josh Wolf makes key subs, there's typically a comeback goal. So everybody knows it's just part of the plan and part of the process, and I don't think anybody takes offense to being taken out of the game. And it's going to be some time to see how Rigoni even fits into the mix.
Yes,
I mean,
he said today that he's not going to be ready for Friday.
Yeah. And I mean, look at LAFC. They brought in Chiellini. They brought in Gareth Bale. Chiellini hasn't played since his handball.
They're bringing in Bello?
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of depth, but what I'm saying is they brought in these really strong players thinking they're just going to make all the difference. And, they've contributed. But, I mean, Gareth Bale set out a few, and he just barely made a comeback in the last game. So, I think it's one of those things where we can build them up to everything we want them to be. But in my opinion, I don't want to give my opinion or make a decision on how he's going to impact the team until I see him playing together. And if he's buying into Josh Wolf's system, that's what it's going to come down to, is buying into his system.
Okay, now forgetting about the music on the spot, do you think Cascante and Ruben, do you think they are the best we have, or can we try something else?
I think with our roster right now, they're our best center back pair. But if I'm looking at the roster, I wouldn't even think about the Minnesota game roster. Go back 2 games. Because remember, Cardozo wasn't on the bench for Minnesota, so we didn't have an optimum 20. Okay, so Cardozo comes back on the bench. That takes Keller off the roster, who didn't make the bench 2 weeks ago. Okay, for me, the Cascante, Gabrielson center back pairing is the best we have right now. But I would flirt with the idea of putting Danny on the bench as a sub, Danny Pereira, and moving Johan Valencia into the 6th position, because it adds a little more defensive bite and physicality to help out in the center back pairing.
But we saw him playing just once or twice.
We've seen him play 4 or 5 games.
So you think he's going to do better than...
I think what he does is offer you some steadfastness in the defensive area. And it helps maybe mask some issues that we have on the back line. Or you move Alex Ring back there to that natural 6th position that he played so well last year, and move Pereira further up in the field at the 8. So he can be more of an attacker, which I think is naturally what he's better at as a box-to-box attacker.
I like that. I like that combination, the second combination, better. I feel like Danny, he brings physicality as well. I mean, that guy can run for days. That's what I love about Danny, is he just doesn't stop, and I think that's somebody that's just so important to have in there from the get-go. It sets the tone. As far as our center backs go, we need some development there. We need,
Who do you change in case if you have the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to, just to try it, not because you don't like someone, just to try it, who you will change? I think, and I want you guys to ask me the same question.
No, I know what my change would be, but please.
Honestly, I think they had Caruso in there that first game. They just put him in because Ruben was just not connecting that game, and so they threw Caruso in there, and he really made a difference, and obviously in the attack because he's a natural attacker. But I liked him back there. I liked he kind of changed the mentality a bit there. It's so hard to say because, as center backs, it's almost like you have to have this telepathy together back there. You're the center of the field. Anything you do, even the smallest mistake, as we've seen here, looks pretty bad. And they're also the eyes of the field. They're the ones who begin that build out of the back. And we're focusing a lot on center backs, but also our outside backs are notorious for getting caught on the wrong side of the player. And that's happened multiple times. And when that happens, it's going to make your center backs look like crap.
It was a mistake. Well, you're going to tell me who do you think, but it was a mistake to go for another forward position than going to the...
Not in this league.
No?
Not in this league.
Who do you change in case if you...
So for the center back position, if I had to play around, I would probably put Romagna in for Cascante, because I think Romagna offers a little more physicality, and him next to Gabrielson might be the physically strongest center back pairing in MLS, because they're both imposing big figures. Romagna, his positioning was really good the last few games that he's played. I know there are folks out there who say maybe he's not fast enough or whatever, but if you watch him play, his development, he was the most developed player from the beginning of last year to the end of last year for us. And his positioning has gotten much better for us. He still worries me with the ball at his feet, but I need a guy who can stop the ball from going in the net.
I think against a team like LAFC.
Cascante with his feet.
Cascante is better offensively.
Okay.
I think with being up against LAFC, Romagna is not the guy. I think they're way too fast, way too creative in the attacking third to have him there.
So you think Kit Keller will do it better? Because last year, the two center backs, after a few games, they got very good connected with Cascante and
Beasler at the
beginning. Romagna.
Well, we had Beasler at the beginning at center back.
But before but
Beasler got hurt, and then it became Cascante and Romagna later in the year. But at the beginning of the year, Beasler was a locked-in starter at center back. So
Kip Keller has barely made an appearance this season, and that's
but
not.
He had a good 2 games, no?
He had, but they were okay. But he also got ripped apart by San Antonio
Yeah,
FC.
that
And
was-
so I think that, you
Why
know,
wasn't
at
it?
this far into the season, you've got these two center backs. They're working relatively well together. They've got minutes under their belt, and especially against a team like LAFC, you can't afford to take someone out who hasn't been getting game minutes. You can train all day long, but you're never going to be able to match game fitness by playing in the game, right? So I think they're better off working on the defensive line as a whole, possibly looking at Gallagher. I feel like Gallagher, while he does help us quite a bit in the transition, he gets so far out sometimes, he loses that defensive mindset a little bit. And there's been so many times where players get in on the wrong side of him, and before you know it, Ruben has two guys. Cascante has another guy coming behind him, and it all started because of the attack coming from the outside. So while they look really bad, that's what I'm trying to say is maybe they need a better support system on the outside of the
Which
field.
goes back to why I want Alex Ring at that deep lying 6 position, because he really does offer that extra little piece of help on the back line.
Let's put the video of the game, Jerry. We talk on top of it. Sure. Okay, so I'm getting it. So basically, if we, I think, you know, I think like you, if Pereira is a very good player, but I think we have, we have to do a different combination with all the people you have in front. You have a bunch of people in front with a lot of quality. So you have Ring already. Ring can take that position, like you said, and we can have, I think, with Rigoni, we can have 2 number 10s right there. One behind the other one, or one on the side of the other
So if
one.
you were going to play 2 number 10s, Diego needs to be in that
No,
conversation.
déjalo, Jerry, que se vaya.
Diego needs to be in that conversation. You're going to do that, not Rigoni.
No,
Rigoni's
because-
a true winger.
because-
Diego is a true midfielder. Diego
Yes,
is a
but
true
I think,
midfielder.
I think Diego, it's better on the wing. Either way.
But let me throw you this lineup and just hear me out. What if you had Diego at the 8 or 10, a double 10, Draiusi next to him, Cardozo on one wing, Rigoni on the other, Rigoni on the other, and then Maxi in the middle.
Okay.
That's a really attacking, fast lineup that can move creatively.
You have
press,
to see
possibly.
Corozo play. I saw Corozo play in Pumas. People here got upset when I say, you know, Corozo, really Corozo. Because Corozo in Pumas was not the player you wanted to have in your team. And a couple of weeks ago, or probably last week, Josh Wolf says, you know what? He's not compromised to defend.
Yep.
He just goes forward. He doesn't. So that's exactly what happened.
But here's my question for Wolf on that. If that's the case, if you're saying he's liability defending, then why did he start the Champions League final? Because he did. He started in Seattle in a second.
No,
in the second,
pero
it
Pumas-
was the second. It was the second leg of a 2-2 tie.
No.
They were 2-2, and he started the championship match.
Have you seen Pumas?
I have. I saw him play.
Man, Pumas is the worst team we can have on the Conca Champions. Really, it was. I don't know how they got to there, but
But if you go watch that game in Seattle, he also created several dangerous chances for Pumas.
I think this is where it comes to these new players buying into Josh Wolf's system.
Yeah.
I think he could give 2 shits about how good a player is individually if you're not buying into the system. You know, I can't help but kind of compare them a little bit to the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
You know how the Spurs aren't
Yep.
very selfish players? That's how I feel about Austin FC. Like, yeah, we have Drewsy as our star, but he's not obnoxious. He's not selfish. You know, and there's plenty of guys on the roster that can take shots and, you know, get us up.
and right
so-
now with this goal that we're gonna see right now, he got 17, right? So he's the best player. He's the best player in the MLS, and that's another thing. I mean, he's the best player. He does everything good. He's cute. He's whatever you want to say. He's cool guy. He has a Lamborghini. I mean, why the people doesn't get upset? The fans? Because we're talking nice about a guy who's doing a good job. Not because, you know, because something else. So this is the mistake. You see, Ruben, he could have give it back to Ruben.
So let me point something out. He had Draiusti there, but also, and you mentioned this, the wings get a little too high. The right wing back, the right back was so far up the field, he did not have an outlet towards the sideline to go to on that play. If you really wanted to watch it.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
This was
I'm not saying it wasn't a bad mistake. It was, but he didn't have the outlet to the right.
Okay, look at him. He could have kicked it right there.
Drop back. Give him help.
Okay, in that situation, he wasn't wrong to be cleats to chalk, but yes, he should have given him a bit more of an angle. They also should have communicated that, but hey, they're in a huge stadium where you can't, I've tried doing a report at the stadium and I'm yelling into the mic because I can't even hear myself talk. So like these guys, verbal communication is kind of out the window. So it doesn't surprise me that, he was snuck up on in that way. But at the end of the day, I think it kind of started with Stuver. Stuver should have seen the field there.
Or yeah, exactly.
And to your point about the stadium, that was right in front of the supporter section. Right in front of the drums.
Yeah. So you can't hear anything.
Hey, I like Brad because he looks for explanation of everything.
I'm always trying to find an angle, man.
I know.
That's why we do what we do, right?
That's very good. So, Jerry, let's go to Rigoni's welcome today.
Pero se la regala Ruitti. La tiene Ruitti, juega profundo para Rigoni. Va Rigoni. Se viene Independiente. La lleva Rigoni al cruce. No puede Renzo Vila. Va Rigoni por el primero. Rigoni. ¡Golazo! ¡Gol! Del Rojo. ¡Qué pedazo de gol! ¡Gol! De Independiente, Emiliano Rigoni. Un pelotazo bárbaro de Ruitti.
Muchísimas gracias por esta bienvenida. Bueno, vamos a ganar los playoffs, vamos a conquistar muchas cosas. Vengo a ayudarlos, así que estoy muy feliz.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're all quite excited to have Emiliano here. It's taken a little while, but that's part of the process. But the wait has been worth it. Emiliano comes to us, as a very mature professional.
Hola, buenas tardes. Muchas gracias. En principio la veía muy de a poco, antes de que surgiera la posibilidad de venir. Cuando Sebas ya me comentó la posibilidad de que se podía dar el paso para Austin, ya comencé a enfocarme demasiado en la liga, en los juegos, en el sistema que usaba el equipo, cómo jugaba, y me fui metiendo mucho en eso.
Bienvenido, Emiliano. Mencionabas que no veías tanto la MLS. Cuando llegó Driussi, cuando llegó Sebas, prácticamente llegó igual que tú. Ahorita es el mejor de la liga. En cualquier otro país podría ser seleccionado, pero no en Argentina. ¿Cómo ves tú que en tu país ven a la MLS?
Yo creo que es una liga que se está potenciando mucho y muy rápido. Hace unos años por ahí se veía menos, se hablaba mucho menos de lo que hoy en día es la MLS, y por eso hoy muchos sudamericanos prefieren venir aquí antes que ir a otras ligas, y es una de las... Yo me incluyo porque obviamente tuve también posibilidades de ir a otros lugares y preferí venir aquí porque veo el proyecto que tiene la liga. Obviamente Seba está en un gran momento, es un jugador que podría estar seleccionado en cualquier otra selección. Lamentablemente la selección argentina tiene una competencia muy grande en esa posición, y por ahí es más difícil para nosotros, pero yo creo que jugando bien y adaptándose a esta liga uno puede progresar mucho y puede estar en la mira de todo el mundo.
Seguro no escogiste el 77 porque eres el doble de bueno que Sebas.
No, eso es un análisis que van a tener que hacer ustedes después, pero no.
Okay, Josh, we see you happy. I mean, more than any other time.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Jorge.
How is the connection with Emiliano outside the field and Emiliano and the team?
I think it's a connection that's going to continue to grow. I exchanged texts with Emiliano a few times with WhatsApp. We've put together certainly some packages that will show him through video what his role can be and what he expects this to look like on the field. But he's a fantastic human being. In a short time, you can see great personality, great humility. which I think is important to our group. Our group is here. It's very much about the collective. It's very much about the work. And he recognizes these things right away. And for our team to be successful, our high quality players have to come in and make an impact. He's seen what Seba's done. He also recognizes his role inside that, and we want to give him that space as quickly as possible, but in a responsible way. So getting him to settle in, getting him on the field as quick as possible is what we're looking to do. But we also recognize it does take time. Emiliano hasn't played a game or trained in over a month, so we want to get those things in place and put him in a place to succeed and help this team succeed. But I think we're all happy that Emiliano has arrived, and now we work forward and try to get him on the field as quickly as possible.
No sé si en el momento justo llego cuando se dieron las cosas. Da la casualidad que justo jugamos un partido súper importante para nosotros. Y bueno, yo desde hoy estoy a disposición del cuerpo técnico para cuando ellos necesiten usarme. Me entrenaré toda esta semana para poder estar. Y si no me toca estar, apoyaré donde me toque. Pero obviamente es una situación muy linda porque es una recta final del torneo donde nosotros nos comprometen muchas responsabilidades y creo que tenemos todo para poder afrontarlas de la mejor manera. No me asusta Los Ángeles, para nada.
Hey, he's not afraid of Los Angeles.
Good. I don't want him to be.
Yeah, right.
Good answer.
So anyways, what we have, Jerry, ya tenemos. No, pero ya tenemos. ¿Vas a poner la tabla? Creo que ni la bajamos, ¿verdad? Ok, perfectamente. ¿Tienes alguna otra cosa? Ok, perfectamente. Ok. So Rigoni, it may be ready. Josh says he mentioned that he's probably not going to be ready for
LAFC
Friday. Yeah, for Friday. But he wants to play. Remember when Gabrielson arrived? He arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning and he wanted to play the very next day with Atlas, I think it was.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I mean, if you look back to last year, Dariusi got here, and it was a week and a half, I think, after he got here, that he featured in the game at Dallas, where he checked into the game there. So I could see next Wednesday probably being the time where you get a run out of Rigoni, and then there's a game in Nashville Labor Day weekend. Maybe that's the first time he starts, or maybe another run out before a week off and a start at that point to have a full week of training to start.
Yeah, I feel like not letting him practice and throwing him in a game is like salt and peppering your food before you've even tasted it. You know, like, do you even need the salt and pepper? Also, like, how is he going to mesh with the team? And, you know, just, I don't know. There's so many reasons. You know, it would also just be, I feel like, a stab to his teammates themselves, right? For putting in that work day in and day out.
So
and having that's a
good. It's a good way to say it. Preparing the food before. How about GTs? How much time we have prepared GTs food?
Yep. Yeah. How much salt and pepper do you need?
Exactly. Yeah. How much?
For me, 10 days. I mean,
GT. No, GT. He's been preparing. We've been preparing GT for what? For a year?
Well, GT had shot. GT's had opportunities, though, right? So.
I love GT.
I actually like him a lot.
I like him too.
Yeah. I love him as a sub because when we start stagnating in the attack, he just throws in all the creativity. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, the second he comes in, the attack gets so much more creative.
Well, and we do a lot. Having a man marker who can really body a guy down in the box, Houston's kind of the same way. It allows for some different things that the regular attack doesn't, because Maxi's more of a presser. He's not the guy that's going to bully up, or that goal by Houston a couple of weeks ago, where he was marking a guy. He had a guy marked on him. He saw it come in from Martins and then hit it on a one-timer, but that's largely because of his positioning and his body size in there. Gite's goal early this year to equalize against Orlando, same thing, just that size inside the box. It's something totally different. And that's why I like him a lot, because he has that upside and the ability, natural physical gifts that you can't teach. You can't teach 6 feet.
So should we start giving opportunity to Hosen to GT or have some changes, taking out probably Urruti, probably Finley?
So Finley's, no offense to Ethan, he's going to be on the bench soon. on a frequent
I
basis.
like him.
I like him too. I like him too, but I do think his best role is for 20 or 30 minutes off the bench. I think that's his best role for the team. Earlier in the year, that's when he was super effective for us. I think, once Rigoni gets in full time, Finley's going to come off the field, and Rigoni's going to take that spot. But do I think that we should have a conversation about Maxey versus Houston? Absolutely. Because I think Houston has actually given us more creative play up top and more options over the last few games.
But only... go ahead.
But he's so good at coming off the bench.
Yep.
How many times has he
minutes.
done it for us, And I can understand the perspective of Josh Wolf of not wanting to change that
sure.
if it's working, right?
Yeah,
Now, another thing is, Wolfito, it's probably going to be playing less, right?
Well, I don't think he's going to see much of the field at all moving forward for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year,
If this will be a regular war, it will be. But his father is there, so he's going to have minutes, obviously. Now, the only thing I don't like.
At the expense of who?
But yeah, that's the question.
No, but that's the thing I don't understand, or sometimes I don't agree with Wolf, because you can predict minute 75 who's coming out, minute 70 who's coming out, and who's getting in. It's exactly doesn't matter how the game is. You can see the same substitutions or about the same on the minute 65, 70, 75, which Fagundes is coming out, Urruti is coming out. You know that.
It depends. 2 weeks ago, that was not the case. When we were down 3-1 to Kansas City, the changes happened to where we actually moved Alex Ring back to a deep-lying six, almost center back, pulled a center back off the field because we pulled Gabrielson off, put Carozzo at left wing. We moved Diego into the middle, kept Fenley on the right, and then had Houston up top. So we do have changes. Earlier this year, we played Houston and Gite together in a comeback match. So we have done some different things.
How many times you have seen that thing?
That thing's happened twice, 3 times. Not often. I'm not saying it's often.
I don't even think it was more than once. I mean, to change that kind of all that stuff changing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have seen substitutions, but not the change on the strategy. I see people going for people, but keeping the same thing until that game.
Sure. And I think the game 2 weeks ago, and this is why earlier when I said I'd like to see Diego at the midfield along with Driussi, when we had that lineup out there and Carozzo on the left, Finley on the right, Diego in the middle, that was the best offense we've played in a month and a half. And for 30 minutes, it was the best offense that we played. And I think that offense lineup moving forward for a full 60, 70 minutes, you can start beating teams 3-0, 4-1 pretty easily and getting on top of them. Because what we haven't done in the last month plus, Austin FC has not played great soccer. There's been one complete game, I would argue, they've played in a month and a half, and that was at Kansas City, a 2-0 win. We had 4 goals wiped off because of offside. Other than that, they've fallen behind every single game at some point. So they haven't not been playing great. But that would help us, I think, get on the front foot more by having that more creative player taking where Alex Ring is, whether it's Danny in a more creative spot because he is a guy who can dribble through traffic and create plays, or whether it's moving Diego to his natural position. Diego is not a natural winger. Diego is a natural midfielder.
I think the question is, do you think he's going to make those bigger changes before a team like LAFC?
No. I don't think he makes them in September before the playoffs.
And I think if he does some changes, like that kind of changes, he's going to be very cautious.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to do it like right away.
Just to complete the thought there, if he were to do it, the good thing is the team has built up enough of a points lead for second place, because I think the supporter shield's out of the question, quite frankly. But the team has built up enough of a points lead for second place. The last 2 or 3 games of the year, you could potentially play with the lineup and see what might work before the playoffs, because you are going to have a cushion where you're not going to lose second place.
They can secure that spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so ¿cuánto tenemos, Jerry? Okay, we have about a couple minutes left. Pero ¿sabes qué? Tienes que esperarte un poquito para que nos platique Katie. Okay, so before we go to the end, ponnos las tablas, Jerry. Are we really going to have? Obviously, we're going to have the opportunity because we're going to be in playoffs. But do we really have a chance, or good chances, or real chances to be champions of the MLS Cup 2022? I'm going to start with Katie.
For me, it's always so hard to say, and we saw this last season. Playoff games are completely different than in-season games. People show up out for blood. That's why it's always hard for me to predict. That's we saw it with the Sounders. They were at the top of the table and they got knocked off. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I think we'll be in contention just because we're so much better this year. But we saw the way we measured up against New York Red Bulls, right? That high press in the heat of Texas didn't seem to stop them. So and they're sitting at number 4. So it's always hard to tell, and until you get closer to it and you see how the teams start stacking up against each other when we play across conferences, it's really hard to tell.
And also on playoffs, time is going to be cooler.
I think she hit it right on the head. Playoffs in MLS are a crapshoot. Last year, she mentioned that Seattle game. RSL beat Seattle without taking a shot. RSL was outshot 21-0 and won on PKs. The MLS playoff, I said this earlier this year to somebody, and they're like, that actually doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. MLS starts making sense when you understand that MLS does not make sense. That's the first thing you have to understand about this league. And last year, the finals were played between 2 4 seeds. Okay? All you got to do is get in the tournament. If you can host at least one game, that bumps your odds up to winning MLS Cup very high. It's also important to remember the Supporter Shield winner, the regular season Supporter Shield winner, has only won MLS Cup 5 times in 22 years. So the odds of LAFC actually winning are against them if you go back historically in this league.
But if you go historically, but they didn't have, on that time they didn't have Gareth Bell, they didn't have Cialini.
Who did RSL have last year to beat the Sounders who just won CCL?
No, you can't compare.
I'm not comparing, but what I'm saying is if you look at a roster.
No, and I got the point.
The difference between a Chiellini roster and Austin FC right now is probably about the depth difference between RSL last year and Seattle. And RSL beat Seattle in the playoffs because for 90, San Jose just beat LAFC the other night. San Jose's terrible.
Your turn.
Yeah, no, I same thing. Sometimes I wonder if they were to change the structure of the playoffs. I know we have World Cup coming up, and so we kind of got to get snappy with it. Single elimination's the only way. But what if we gave them more opportunities to really play a real tournament, multiple matchups, see where you end up landing at the end of the tournament versus a single elimination, and maybe games like RSL versus Sounders wouldn't hold much stake if the Sounders came back and beat someone else within the pool, right? So, maybe we change the way the playoffs are even made to highlight, the teams that actually did well during the season.
Do it like the Apertura de Clausura down in Mexico where they do the double legs.
Two legs.
That would be profitable for the MLS.
Yeah.
That would be fun because, you get the score on two games. And that's really, I think we should go there.
Well, the MLS used to have 2-leg playoffs, and they went away from it when they expanded.
Was in the 96 or
no,
something?
No. Recently, it's like 4 or 5 years ago. It's just they went away from it.
Yeah, I remember that. The MLS Cup, both MLS Cup that Houston won, it was like that.
Well, and you might remember a few years ago there was a great, I forget if it was 2015, 2016, Toronto and Montreal played a 2-leg playoff, and it went to extra time in the second leg during the playoffs to see who would advance in I think it was 2 MLS Cups. Toronto ended up winning at home. So it's not something they haven't done before. I just think the American sports fan, the American public is so used to single elimination that MLS wants to feed into that.
Right, 100%. Totally agree with that. I think it is.
So let's
people
go
are
to
used
the
to
Mexican
football and
style.
basketball.
I would love it home and home. That's more away days. I love going on away days.
Okay, Jerry. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, Jerry. Please, before we go, because we're gonna switch the page. Don't call me coward, please.
Fair enough.
Nope, no punches. Okay,
no punches. Okay, perfect.
Everybody say
now
calm.
let's talk about our guest, Katie Goodman. You have been working as a sportcaster for how many years?
Not super long, actually. I mean, only
Because
a little
you
over
used
a
to
year.
Be professional player, semi-professional.
Yeah, I was a semi-professional soccer player in the 2021 season, and then many years prior to that, I played at Mississippi State D1 SEC. But I have a lot of background in media and TV, and I was a contributor at a couple local news stations, whether it be for yoga or soccer. As a spokesperson for my semi-pro team. I also worked at Animal Defense League of Texas. Yeah, there's me at the Houston Dash game, Rachel Daly. That was her last appearance for the Dash.
She's got traded to Orlando,
she's
to
wearing
Aston Villa. She went back to England.
Okay. She's wearing orange on the. Because you have to wear orange? No.
I don't have to. I just felt like representing my girls.
Are you part of the battalion?
Yeah. Like, you guys want to hire me or? Yeah, no. So I have a lot of background in TV. I also co-host the Saturday Morning Hangover on ESPN San Antonio, and I'm also their in-house soccer analyst. So anytime they want me to break down what happened with SAFC or Austin FC or in the World Cup, I come in and give my 2 cents. And then I also did some stuff with the San Antonio Spurs. I was on their first ever all-female broadcast. And so that was the bigger moment for me in my career so far. And
I saw that video. I really enjoyed your conversation today. Yeah. I mean, it's like having your thoughts on the field, the way you talk on the field. It's really, really interesting. I really feel an honor to have you here. And where we can follow you?
My Instagram and Twitter handles are I'm Katie Goodman. That's IMKATIEGOODMAN. So you can find me there on Instagram and Twitter. Okay,
and I'm also gonna tag her on today's show. And what is coming for you?
So I'm now a color analyst for Texas State University, women's soccer. So I call a lot of those games. I also am now working as a broadcast person for University of the Incarnate Word. So I'll be on some football, basketball, baseball, all the sports, starting to branch out there, even though I still consider myself a soccer purist. But for the most part, you can still find me on ESPN San Antonio on the radio, Saturday mornings, or hopping on a podcast or a YouTube show. I'm really all over the place.
That's perfect. We're gonna have all the sites where actually, if you go to her Twitter, you can see all the links where she's collaborating, and also you did a play-by-play.
Yeah, I still do local play-by-play around here for high school sports, things like that on the side, outside of my day job.
Do you talk to? There we go. Right there.
I forgot to mention I'm a host of Yellow Texas as well. It's a Texas travel show. I have a lot going on that I can't even keep
that
straight.
Must be fun to be. That must be fun to be Katie Goodman.
Definitely keeps things interesting, no doubt.
Perfect. Do you know Sonny Guadarrama?
I have not met him, but I do know of him.
Okay, so. you need to talk to him because he's doing events.
Yeah.
Sometimes he needs guys for play-by-play and all that.
Send him my information.
You do play-by-play?
I do color analysts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm about to do a little more play-by-play, but I'm a little new
you
at
have
it,
a very
so
nice
I wouldn't
voice.
sign me up just yet. Yeah.
So I think you do a
It's a fun track. It's I did play-by-play professionally for several years back in minor league baseball back in the day, and still do high school sports and things like that around here. If you can get into it, do it. You might actually know the name Lisa Byington in the NBA, the broadcaster for the Bucks. Television. She actually used to cover our baseball team in Michigan as she was cutting her teeth and everything. So,
very cool. Yeah, that's kind of the plan for me at UIW is cut my teeth there and I'm going to do sideline reporting for football and then play-by-play color for basketball, baseball, volleyball. Yeah, so I'm going to be busy.
Well, but this is your house. I mean, anytime we can have you here, this is your house. I hope we can have you some other time in the future.
Absolutely. It's been fun.
Yeah,
you guys.
You too.
I would love to come back.
I'm going to talk to Sonny. Just don't talk bad about Cascante because you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble if you talk about bad. Especially the music.
Sonny's the color broadcaster. He gets to talk bad about everybody.
Yeah.
I just get to describe what's going on.
Sonny does it anyway. He does it anyway. You know,
as a play-by-play guy, I'm just describing what's happening.
He's a very good analyst. Is he the same in English?
Sonny covered a game while Michael LaHood was out, right? On television. Sonny did. I thought did great.
He's good. Yeah. He's really good.
So,
he speaks perfect Spanish.
I used to go to his soccer program. He has roots football, and so I was actually training with him while I was with the Athenians in 2021, and then we had a media game, and so we were all out there, and he just has an incredible natural talent as a coach and ability to see the field.
Here in Austin, the Austin FC?
Yep, I was there. I think I remember seeing you, but it was so busy. There was so much happening, and I was all over the place.
Yeah, you probably confused me with
I also look very different with my hair up, and I had to put in a bun because it's so long it gets to my face.
I'm going to go back to the pictures and see where Katie was.
It's all on my Instagram. I put it everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Señores, thank you very much and I really appreciate it again.
Thank you.
You see, it wasn't a fight. This is a really nice two people with different thoughts. That's the thing.
Mature
mature
adults.
people. If you get into this is something that I want to say. If you see somebody talking whatever about the team, don't get all excited. Just give your comment. Let the people give the people the right to say whatever, and you say whatever. I mean, everybody has the right to say and to express themselves. So this was a really nice conversation that I wanted to have with him after all the,
I appreciate
the conversation.
I appreciate you bringing him on and having that conversation as well, and then talking a little soccer about the team as well.
We forget about everything.
Yeah, exactly. So have a beer.
You have to. I'm gonna.
Just no tequila.
Let's do that. Okay.
I'm not turning that down.
Yeah.
Señor Jerry Lopez, thank you very much en Controles. We see you guys. Don't forget to follow us, Club Deportes. Síganos en clubdeportes.com and everywhere. Club Deportes, all social media. Club Deportes. Yo soy Jorge Iturralde. Jerry Lopez en Controles. Thank you very much.